Hi, everyone. I'm Emily from Artemisia Academy, and today we're going to have Mary Andrews, our holistic gardener teacher, talk to us a little bit about the holistic gardener course and kind of the reason why we co-created and designed up this brilliant course for all you guys to enjoy. So hello, Mary. How's it going?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thanks.
I really enjoyed last year we got to go out into your garden and film a bunch of fabulous shots of not just your garden, but some of your friends and other fabulous good gardens around in San Luis Obispo. Tell us a little bit about why did you want to create this course, and what do you get out of teaching, a gardening course like this?
Well, I honestly miss working in nurseries and talking to people about plants. I'm super enthusiastic about plants, and I used to work in retail nurseries and wholesale nurseries. And I love connecting to people and talking to them about plants. And I love to encourage people to try and grow some of their own food. It's so empowering. And whether you're worried about, when the shit hits the fan, or whether you just want to reduce your impact on the environment, trucking food from Argentina has a huge environmental cost that we really ignore. And so if you can grow your own lettuce or your own tomato plants, even if you just grow a little bit, you are reducing your impact on the planet and providing for yourself. And we've really lost the connection to growing our own food in the last couple hundred years. A couple hundred years ago, 90% of people grew 90% of their food. Now 1% of people grow grow about 10% of their food. And we have such a reliance on large scale agriculture and large scale chemical agriculture. I really hope to teach people the methods that I used. I am an organic gardener. I don't use any pesticides. I don't even use organic pesticides, even though you theoretically could and be an organic gardener. I sort of say I go beyond organic. But I'm also willing to, have a certain amount of crop loss. I'm not trying to make a living off my property. I'm just trying to feed my family and my friends, and not 100%. I have tried to grow things like winter wheat for bread making, and found that I think I'll leave that to the experts because the scale for harvesting and processing is a bit beyond me. But it was a fun experiment, and I know if I ever had to, I certainly could. I grew dryland wheat, and it was fun. It was a learning experience for sure. And I think one of the things you learn trying to grow some of your own food is an appreciation for the farmers out there. I mean, you really do. When you have a crop failure, your heart goes out to them, and you realize this is a very difficult way for people to make a living. So I hope that, and growing flowers is great too, even if you're just providing nutrients for the bees and the beneficial insects out there. So, but I hope that my students will try to at least grow a tomato or two, and maybe some culinary herbs in their gardens.
With our past students, what has been the most exciting part for you to see their growing points as they've been experimenting and learning with you? What have been some of the things that you've gotten out of as a teacher, seeing the reflections of what they've created?
Well, I think your mom is an incredible example. She was one of my students, and she was so enthusiastic. And I know that she, after the course was over, pulled out a whole section of lawn and put in a berry patch. And I just love to see that happen. And there's nothing better than going out and picking your fresh raspberries. Really, honestly, my husband's always saying, this is just so great. We should plant more raspberries. These raspberries are just so great. And there are things like raspberries that you just cannot buy the same quality at the store that you pick off your vine. You just can't. It's the raspberries that they grow and sell in stores have to be bred so that they can be shipped. Whereas if I go out in my yard and pick a raspberry, it's the best raspberry you've ever had, because it's not going anywhere. It's going from the plant to my mouth. If it goes anywhere, it goes into the kitchen for use within an hour or two. So I think that, your mom was great. I also love teaching my students about fertilizers. And so many people don't understand how to decide when to fertilize their gardens. And it's all about the marketing and the people at the nursery saying, oh yeah, you need to buy fertilizer with that. oh, yeah, you're buying this plant. Can I sell you some fertilizer? And honestly, unless you've done a soil test, you don't know what fertilizer you need. You might not need any. Phosphorus, for example, is abundant in most home gardens. And so adding additional phosphorus actually is bad. So we really need to train ourselves to be a little more scientific and a little bit less on the consumer side in our gardens, and to be a little greener with our gardens. People that get into gardening are often very into nature, but then you turn around and buy things like peat moss, which you don't understand because you're not taught that it's very detrimental to the environment. Peat moss is a fantastic carbon sink. And so if you're harvesting it out of the ground to put in, in your pots in your garden, we're losing that in our environment. So I think it's really important to teach people these things. And I've also learned a ton from my students. I love it when they ask questions that I don't know and I have to research. That's been a great thing. And I've had students teach me things that I had no idea, I'd never heard of. So I love the interaction between student and teacher, and then also the opportunity to do research if there's something that comes up that I don't know.
That's one of the things that I really love about the course, is that you teach people how to really research plants for their area, and specifically like what are the diseases of the area, so that you're not just going out and buying random plants from the nursery that are going to die in the next 6 to 12 months. And then at the very end of the course, that last day where everyone shares their garden designs, the feedback that you give and that all the students give with each other is such an invaluable time for me, at least, of like being like, oh, here's everyone else's design. That's a really cool idea. And that's a cool idea too. And then of course, we also get your feedback of, well, actually, I tried that one and this didn't work. So yeah, I love seeing the garden designs and seeing what people do, and then getting to see the after effect now a year, and hopefully we'll see 2 or 3 years later, what people are really putting in their gardens after our class. Oh.
That's going to be super cool. I'm looking forward to that. Definitely.
So long term, what are your hopes, dreams, and visions of teaching this class, and your bigger visions for the future? What do you hope that students will get out of it and walk away with down the line?
Well, I certainly hope that anybody that takes my course will feel empowered to go out there and try it, to try and grow some food. And also, don't let your failures dictate your future. If you fail at growing something, try it in a different area. I always plant, if I can, if I buy a new plant that I'm not familiar with, I plant it in 3 different areas of my garden to see what does it actually prefer? How does it grow best? Is it, really wants the full sun like the book says, or does it prefer a little bit of shade? I've found certain things, especially as our climate gets hotter, the books will say full sun, and I have actually found they do a little bit better in part shade. So I hope that my students will walk away feeling empowered to experiment in their gardens, and to feeling empowered to fail and try again. And also, I think that we have such unrealistic expectations of what our gardens should look like from, Martha Stewart and et cetera, et cetera. What you need to understand is gardens are seasonal. You can see a beautiful picture of a garden. You can see one of my garden right behind me. My garden does not look like that right now. I just cut back all the catmint. There's some dead bits still left that we're a little too close to the ground. There's no flowers on it. It's looking pretty sad out there right now, but give it another month or so and it'll look just like this picture behind me. And so I think people need to understand they need to be gentle with themselves, and gardens are ever changing. It's not a snapshot picture. And Martha Stewart has a crew of who knows how many people out there weeding and helping her and tidying up. I've been called Messy Mary for a reason. My garden is a bit messy, and actually it's good for the beneficial insects to leave a little bit of a mess. You want to have a little bit of rotting wood, for your insects and things like that. So I just hope that my students walk away understanding a little bit more about themselves and how they approach their garden and what they want out of their garden.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Mary. And I definitely know I'm looking forward to another round of your Holistic Gardener course. For anyone who's interested, it's starting up this next Thursday, March 3rd from 4 to 7 p.m. It's a 12-week course, all live over Zoom. And of course, everything's recorded. So if you miss anything, you can always go back and catch the recordings. And of course, we also have a Slack channel. So for anyone who's interested in chatting with Mary during the week and asking a couple extra questions, she gives really good advice. It's been fantastic for me as I've still been learning how to grow, to be like, hey, Mary, how do I? And then also getting all the feedback from other students and seeing their projects at the same time too. So if you're interested in joining, check out our link in bio, or you can go to our website, artemisiaacademy.com. But otherwise, thank you again, Mary, and looking forward to seeing you in class this next week.
Thanks, Emily.